It was a dark and stormy night when the small fishing village of Blackwater Bay was shaken by a series of strange, eerie sounds. The villagers had heard rumors for years, whispers about the mythical creatures that lived in the deep waters beyond the bay, the sirens. But nobody had ever truly believed them. After all, sirens were just stories, right? Jonah was one of the fishermen who lived in the village. His family had been in the fishing business for generations. They'd heard the tales, but like everyone else, they dismissed them as old wives' tales. Until that night. Jonah had just returned from a long day at sea, exhausted and eager to rest. The wind howled through the village, and the rain slammed against his window. But through the howling wind, he heard something. A voice. It was faint at first, almost like a distant song drifting on the wind. He paused, straining his ears to listen more closely. It was beautiful, haunting, like a lullaby from a forgotten world. Jonah thought it was just his imagination playing tricks on him. Maybe it was the wind or the creaking of the boat. But then the voice grew louder, clearer. It was singing, and it was coming from the water. He quickly stepped outside, his feet splashing in the puddles as the storm raged around him. The village was eerily quiet, save for the song. It was no longer just a voice. It was a melody, a hypnotic tune that seemed to call to him, pulling him toward the shore. Without thinking, Jonah found himself walking toward the water, his feet moving as if they had a mind of their own. His heart raced, but something about the song soothed his fears. He didn't want to resist. He wanted to hear it, feel it. It was as if the song was calling out to him, beckoning him. As he reached the edge of the bay, the wind died down, and the only sound was the haunting melody. The storm had stopped completely. Jonah peered into the water, his eyes widening as he saw figures just beneath the surface. Their pale faces glistened in the moonlight, their eyes locked onto his. They were beautiful, their features perfect, but their eyes, cold and unfeeling, struck a deep fear in Jonah's chest. The sirens were real, but it was too late. One of the sirens broke the surface of the water, her long, flowing hair clinging to her wet skin. She smiled, her lips curling in a way that was both inviting and terrifying. Her voice rose, the melody becoming more intense, more desperate. Jonah tried to look away, to run, but his legs felt like stone. His mind screamed at him to escape, but his body refused to move. The siren's song had wrapped around his soul, weaving its dark magic. As the first siren reached out for him, her cold, slimy fingers brushing his arm, Jonah felt an overwhelming sense of dread. He realized too late that the song was not a lullaby. It was a trap. The sirens did not sing to soothe or to welcome. They sang to lure. Before Jonah could pull away, more figures rose from the water, their eyes glowing with hunger. Their sharp teeth gleamed in the moonlight as they pulled him closer, dragging him into the cold depths of Blackwater Bay. The villagers heard no more of Jonah after that night. Only the haunting melody of the sirens remained, drifting across the bay. And as years passed, the stories of the sirens' song grew stronger, warning anyone who dared come too close to the water. No one in Blackwater Bay ever went near the shores again after dark. But on quiet, stormy nights, if you listen carefully, you might still hear the song. And if you do, you must resist, because the sirens are still waiting, their voices growing louder with each passing year.